And now, from the mind of someone who could not fall asleep, even though it was 3 a.m., Best Wishes to You presents The Family Tree of Adaptation and Interpretation. One would think that a creation starts with the creator themselves, but giving it some thought, everything that a creator has made likely started from an experience, something from their past, or something that just barely happened to them. Regardless, this experience which the creator had led to either an inspiration or a prompt, asking a question, or perhaps an image came to mind. This inspiration or prompt now sticks inside the mind of the creator, and the creator themselves becomes aware of it. If it sticks with the creator enough, the creator will look to make some sort of material from this inspiration or prompt. Once they have made this material, there are multiple ways of going about publishing it. They could get someone who is a beta reader or beta tester. Or if they already work for a company, they could show this material to their editor. The purpose of this is to get an outside opinion on their work and perhaps to receive criticisms on how to make it better. After doing this a certain amount of times, the material can then become a published work. Now, I'm sure any creative will tell you that the majority of ideas which they get never reach this point, either because they couldn't get enough material, or because their beta reader or their editor didn't think the material was strong enough to stand on its own. Once a work is published, the first audience is of course the primary audience, the first adopters who initially pick up the work to see if it is worth anything. That's putting it fairly rudely. It could just be a curiosity. Regardless of how that first primary audience finds the work, they then recommend it to their friends and family, who then become the secondary audience. The people who did not initially take up the work, but read it or looked at it on recommendations from people who saw it first. As the pattern moves along, we get the tertiary audience and the audience beyond that point. But an aspect of this family tree that I feel isn't talked about as much is the other influences related to the audience. External influences and fan influences. An external influence would be someone who hasn't read the work or looked at the work, but have heard things about the work and decide to give their opinion on it. This could possibly be news sources, or perhaps someone who saw someone reading the work or looking at the work, but didn't decide to engage with the material themselves. The fan influence comes from the other audiences having an effect on other people and audiences. Creators themselves, even. Fan artists and fan writers who create things based off of the work or inspired by the work. This fan influence can have an effect on how other audiences will look at the material, possibly affecting how someone may view a character or a plot point. All of these influences affect the audience beyond, and the audience beyond that. The branches of the tree continuing to grow. So what we're left with is a large fandom. There are other things that have an effect on the work, such as when it was created, and how long it has been relevant to the media as a whole. To take the conversation beyond this would require more research, and I am not in any sort of mind to try to do that. With that said, this has been the family tree of adaptation and interpretation.